Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance with CBS Sports, and this is Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
Welcome to Bay Area Sports Wrap. I'm Marco Kolovich. Alongside me is Andrew Triforos, our Bay Area Sports Wrap golf expert. And before we get to the 2025 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am recap that we were at this past weekend, we got a cool podcast for you coming up, including the big blockbuster trade by the Golden State Warriors. This one's a doozy. I didn't think it was going to happen. And me and Ryan Long will dissect that one and get you all the details of that one. Plus, update on the San Jose Sharks as they continue their season with rookie sensation Macklin Celebrini. But now, let's recap. Andy, welcome. First of all, welcome to the podcast. Is your first time on here?
Yes, it is. Thanks for having me. It's been really an honor to come on here, and I look forward to talking about Pebble Beach.
Yes.
Let's do it.
And what an experience it was. We got there on the weekend. Saturday, the weather wasn't as nice to us as it was Sunday, as the rain and the wind came and made some, life kind of treacherous, not just for us, but the golfers too. And then they were complaining a little bit about it at the end of their round on day 3. But just talk about the overall experience. When we were covering this tournament, which is it's now a signature event for the PGA, but this has been a classic here in Northern California. It goes way back to 1947, so 78 years of Pebble Beach, and this was we had a great time covering it together.
Absolutely. It was really an amazing experience being at Pebble Beach, listening to a lot of the pro golfers and just a lot of the experts around the sport. Pebble Beach is probably the best golf course in the entire world, and golfers want to be here. They want to play here, and for us to be able to walk that course with them for the 2 straight days was awesome. The weather, it hit pretty good on Saturday. It started off, overcast, but that rain came in and sloshed up the course. But as we were walking around, the conditions were still in very good shape. The course was pristine. There wasn't a lot of mud on the fairways. The rough was cut short, so it was easy for them to hit out of the rough. On Saturday, I was following Jordan Spieth, and on 16, he was in the rough, and you couldn't see his ball. But then he, in the conditions, he got out of that rough and landed right on the green. 2-putted for par, but hey, what are you gonna do? But those conditions were crazy. You can see too with Rory McIlroy, right? He was the champion. He won the tournament in fashion. Through 2 days, he was 9 under par for the first 2 days. He was 6 shots back of the lead, and for him to play a 6 under par round on Saturday in those rainy conditions, amazing. And that's why he's one of the greatest.
Yeah, definitely. His 27th career PGA Tour win. Rory McIlroy continues to be one of the golf's best golfers out there. He's been doing this now for a long time. And it was actually nice to see him finally get his first Pebble Beach title. This is, like I mentioned earlier, this has become a signature event for the PGA. There's less celebrities now in this Pro-Am. They're really focusing on getting the top players to come to this event and make it what it is. And of course, when you're splitting a $20 million purse and the winner gets $3.6 million, I think that's motivation enough to want to go out there and do well.
Absolutely. The format too is new this year. Like you said, there wasn't the Pro-Am, not a lot of the celebrities. Usually celebrities go into the weekend. They didn't this year. The Celebrity Pro-Am was Thursday and Friday. And there was 60 some odd pros in this tournament, but there was no cut. Usually there's a cut on Friday, but with this new format, there's less golfers, but you have your prime golfers. So a lot of times too, I like the fact that there wasn't a cut, because sometimes your Justin Thomases, your Jordan Spieth, your Ricky Fowlers, the guys you want to go out there to see, they don't always make the cut. So then you're stuck not watching the guys you go out there to see. But in this case, they all made the cut. They were all there. And so it was really cool to see. Even though they weren't on the leaderboard, some of those guys, from top to bottom, you had your stars.
Right. And I know you had fun seeing Ricky Fowler out there on the 8th, 9th, and then also Scotty Scheffler when we saw him at 10. And, you know, these guys really played good rounds. I mean, they didn't play great, not enough to, you know, make it into the top 5. But still, when you see, you know, how the conditions were, like you said on Saturday, and then everything cleared up beautifully on Sunday. That's when you saw, to me, the best golf out there, along with, you know, the leaderboard, which was McIlroy, which was Shane Lowry, his fellow countryman from Ireland. You had Sepp Straka out there, who actually led after the third day. Justin Rose was in contention. Tom Kim was in contention. So what was nice about that is that you expected like those guys to be up there, but then you expected maybe not a couple of those guys to be up there, and then they were, because they just had phenomenal rounds on Sunday.
And Sunday, you couldn't ask for better conditions. The weather was amazing. And those guys, they came out to play. They hung around. And I think that course and the conditions allowed more players to hang around. No one's really going to run away with that tournament at Pebble. It's not the easiest course to score on, but when McIlroy is shooting 21 under, I mean, that's amazing. Now, I think that we were talking this weekend, too, about the conditions and then the course setup, where if this was maybe a U.S. Open event, if this was a major, the conditions would be different. Your rough would be different. Your pin placements would be different. But because it's a Pro-Am, it's because it's that fun, that just great event for a fan favorite. The conditions and the course was set up a little bit easier.
Right. And a lot of the fans did turn out. You know, Saturday, despite the weather, there were still a lot of fans out there on all the tees. And then, of course, Sunday, I mean, there was just, I mean, you couldn't even walk at one point, especially when the leaders teed off and all the way through the round. I know we were smart about it. We got ahead of that and didn't have to worry about getting stuck in the shuffle there. But, you know, and again, this is really my first time walking that entire course, and I couldn't believe how long it was. My body's still feeling the after effects of that, but what a grand setting. You can't get any better setting than Pebble Beach. It's phenomenal. It's amazing.
No, and then when we golf, us regulars, we go out on the weekend, we have carts. We drive around. These guys are walking these courses, and like you said, with us walking the course, it's amazing to walk it, but we're more flat. You know, yes, there's up and down, there's hills, but these guys have a lot more traction. They have a lot more upside, downside. They're more on the coastline than we are. I think we probably walked about 10 miles over the weekend collectively. I know you stopped about midway, but I walked from the first tee all the way down to the furthest 11th tee at the other end. We're by Carmel Beach. I wanted to track down Ricky Fowler. Had to see him in his Sunday orange. But the course, walking it, I've never walked a course like that. And yeah, you're tired, you're beat, but I can only imagine these guys too. But watching them play, they weren't tired. They were out there. They were hitting that ball. You watch them on TV and just seeing their swings, seeing their stances, seeing their posture up close and personal is so different than TV. The best part I think we were talking about is we were on 10, sitting in the stands, watching Scheffler, watching Jason Day, watching Tony Finau, watching these guys tee off. You're right there, and the sound of that club hitting that ball, and then the scream of the ball through the air is probably the best sound you're going to hear on the course. It's so awesome to see, because you don't get that on the TV. and being that up close and personal, it's one of the best sounds you're going to hear outside of maybe your ball in the cup for a birdie.
Right.
But other than that, it was amazing.
Right. And that's the thing, golf's a sport like hockey, and you have to go see it live to truly appreciate it, because you do miss a lot that's happening away from, in hockey's case, the puck, and in this case in golf, you're really from each golfer, because again, when you get to the last couple of days, they're just focusing on the leaderboard. So you're not seeing everyone that's potentially having a good day. So to kind of wrap up, just tell me, what was some of your favorite parts of this weekend going out there that was memorable for you there, Andy?
I think being out there and being so close to these guys, being so close to these athletes, the ones I want to pretend I am out there on the course, which never will be. But my favorite golfer is definitely Jordan Spieth is one, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, I love McIlroy. Those are probably my top 4 guys I want to watch, and they're right there. Sometimes 3 feet in front of me. Just a rope separated us. So that memory is going to stay there. Being on Pebble, I've only been to Pebble once, and I was in probably about 12 or 13, and I went to the Pro-Am with my dad as a kid, watching Jack Nicklaus, watching Lee Trevino, watching those guys, my dad's golf heroes. So going back there so many years later and walking that course for 2 straight days, you can't beat it.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I agree, and really, it's as close to, I think, golf heaven that you're ever going to get to, whether you're actually playing on the course or if you're just actually watching it and walking through it. Again, the views are so breathtaking that I don't think there is a better golf course out there, at least in the United States, for sure. That's top notch.
No, you're not going to beat that. You're on the coast. You have that. You're just looking out into the ocean. There was times where I'm standing there on the course. I was actually gazing at the landscape than I was watching the golfers sometimes. It's like you're watching the Monterey Bay. You're out there looking, waiting for a whale to jump out, as we talked about. What's going to happen? Where are the dolphins? Where are the sea otters? It just the landscape is amazing. It's beautiful. Even with the overcast skies, you had the sun breaking through, which was made for a really fun Saturday and Sunday.
Right. And again, this is my first time, covering the athletes and getting the chance to interview them and talk to them. And they're very humble, down to earth, despite being some of the best players on earth. I mean, Rory McIlroy, this guy could totally be arrogant. He could be cocky, and he's not. We're talking to Shane Lowry. He's just this happy-go-lucky guy that, you see him, you think, oh, he's just your bar buddy you go and have beers with. And yet he's one of the best golfers in the world. And Sepp Straka from Austria. These guys are when you talk to them, you just find out they're regular guys, just like you and I, Andy, and it's awesome.
It's funny too, because we weren't there to see it, but if you follow the tournament, you know that McIlroy had a hole-in-one on Friday on 7, and it wasn't just a hole-in-one; he dunked it.
Right. It
just went straight into the cup. Well, after that, we saw a clip that McIlroy's signing autographs for kids. And then all of a sudden you see this guy walking in, takes his hat off, goes to ask McIlroy to sign it, and it's Scotty Scheffler. So, I mean, like you said, these guys, even though they're competing against each other as individuals, they're close. It's like they're our team. It's different than team sport, but they are a team.
Right.
They're buddies. They're going to go out and they're going to do things together. And just those interactions, again, we were there live to see that.
Right.
But knowing those things happen on the course, watching these foursomes, these threesomes go out there and the guys talking, comparing notes, and it's really fun to see in person because, like you said, you don't see that stuff on TV. And being that up close and personal is great. If you can, next year, go out.
Yeah.
Go out to Pebble, check that out. Try to get out to any PGA event, because if when more of them come here, we're going to be there.
Right. And a special shout out to Grace Carras, Amanda Balionis, and the great legendary Jim Nance for giving us some taglines, as I like to call them, IDs for our YouTube channel. And if you are subscribing to it and liking our content, you will see those taglines either at the beginning or at the end of our videos. So please do like and subscribe, because we love giving you this kind of content. We love doing every kind of sport, not just one specific sport. And now we've reached out into the golf world with Pebble Beach tournament. We had such a great time. I'm totally looking forward to doing it again.
Let's go. Absolutely. And the PGA officials, everybody involved, were so kind, so nice.
Yes.
They're good to their fans. They know how to treat their fans. But yeah, I can't wait to get back out there. If it's at Pebble again, amazing. If not, we're going to hit up another course somewhere down the road, and let's do this again.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right. Well, for Andy Triforos, our resident golf expert here, I'm Ben Marco Yukolovich. Stay tuned. We got the blockbuster Warriors trade to talk about and some Sharks hockey here on Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Hi, it's Warriors coach Steve Kerr, and this is Bay Area Sports Wrap.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court, but I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop, and I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
The Warriors did it. They got a superstar teammate for Steph Curry. So the trade is the Warriors get Jimmy Butler, the Heat get Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick. Pistons got Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson, and the Jazz get Dennis Schroeder in a second-round pick. Then Jimmy signs a 2-year, $121 million extension to stay in Golden State.
Welcome back to Bay Area Sports Wrap. Now that Marco had that opening segment with our golf expert, Andy Triforos, we're going to switch gears now and talk Golden State Warriors basketball. And wow, what a trade, huh? Marco, you just blew me away with the details of what's happening here. The Warriors are getting Jimmy Butler. I'm not sure that's such a good idea, but they're getting Jimmy Butler nonetheless. And they're sending a lot of people away to get Jimmy Butler. Let me see if I can get all the details here, because it's kind of crazy. So the Heat will receive Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, PJ Tucker, and the Warriors 2025 first-round pick with top 10 protection. I'll let you explain what that is in a minute, Marco. The Utah Jazz will receive Dennis Schroeder, and the Detroit Pistons will get Lindy Waters III and Josh Richardson. All right, Marco, your thoughts on this blockbuster of a deal?
Boom. My mind's blown on this because, just the other day, on Monday, Jimmy Butler said he didn't want to be traded to the Warriors because if they did trade for him, he was not going to sign an extension. So I don't know what the hell changed 2 days later, and I really want to know what did, because this really does blow my mind that they traded for him. And, Kevin Durant went on, according to league sources, saying he didn't want to have a reunion with the Warriors. So I guess that was possibility of getting him back was gone. And so something I think when they found that out, the Warriors and Mike Dunleavy Jr., that they weren't going to get Kevin Durant, I think they said, okay, they went back to Miami and was like, what can we get for Jimmy Butler? How can we convince this guy to sign an extension? And then that's another thing about this deal. He does sign a 2-year extension with the Warriors for $121 million. So I'm still trying to process this. I literally just found out about, 25, 30 minutes ago myself. Our colleague Lowell Tuckerman called me up and wanted to know my reaction. I'm all, what? Excuse me? So
right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Okay. So this is what I'm thinking with this trade. Okay. They did this to take pressure off Steph so he doesn't get double teamed. And, you do have another scoring threat. And Jimmy Butler. And when you look at the guys they got rid of, Wiggins, Anderson, Schroeder, Jimmy Butler is those three guys in one when he's healthy, when he's not acting like a diva. And this is, to me, it's championship or bust now for bringing this guy in. And, I was on another podcast, we're not going to mention who, and I even said that, if they were to the Warriors were to get Jimmy Butler, this was back on Monday. I said it'll only be a matter of time before him and Draymond Green get into it. I said if you thought the Jordan Poole incident was bad, imagine Jimmy Butler and that thing being even 10 times worse. So that's my big fear going into this with getting this trade for Jimmy Butler is he going to be able to mess with the Warriors? Is he going to let Draymond Green command the room? And because that's what Draymond Green does. I don't see this being successful. I really hope I'm being proved wrong by this, but we'll see what happens, man. This is crazy. What a blockbuster trade. I mean, this is like almost topping the Luka for AD and the Aaron Fox down to San Antonio for Levine going to Sacramento. So this is I didn't think the Warriors could pull this off. I really didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know if I'd put it in that category, only because I'm surprised Jimmy Butler is 35 years old.
Right.
And I mean, he's basically what? He's a little bit younger than Lowell Tuckerman to put it in perspective. Okay, Lowell's not playing basketball, right? But I will say, good job, Lowell, for breaking the news on this to us, because you broke it to me, Marco. Although I kind of indirectly found out from my brother, and my brother just says to me in a text, "I don't want Jimmy Butler," and I'm thinking, well, I don't want him either. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this trade actually happened. No, I thought he was just talking about, because I thought this whole Jimmy Butler trade was dead once he said he didn't want a contract extension.
Yeah.
But this guy is a huge diva. Okay, one of my good friends in the business, her name is Cheryl Ray Stout, and anybody knows who she is. She is a preeminent reporter in the Chicagoland area, and she's been covering Chicago sports since you and I, Marco, were in grade school. Okay. So she, you've seen that famous photo of Michael Jordan dunking at Chicago Stadium at the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Well, she's sitting there on the floor, but you can't see her because stupid Pat O'Brien's covering her face. Pat O'Brien was a sideline reporter, and he's kneeled right in front of her. But she sent to me on Twitter, and I'll post the photo. One of his other dunks, you can see her where she's visible.
Nice.
But she was she still is a very important member of the Chicago media. But back in 1988, they put her on the floor, man. She was like where the scorer's table is.
Nice.
She had the prime view of Michael Jordan in that dunk contest. The reason I bring up Cheryl Ray's name is because Cheryl Ray covered Jimmy Butler with the Bulls.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler's a great talent, no question about it. This guy's also a huge diva. I'll never forget, I spoke to him once. Obviously, as you know, Marco, I've been covering the Warriors since the late 90s.
Right.
So anytime all these opposing teams come to the Bay Area, I talk to him. When Jimmy Butler was there, because I think he was having some problems when he was with Minnesota. I can't remember the details, but he was having problems there. So he comes in, he talks to us. Very good speaker, but man, this guy was a real pain in the ass. I was like, wow. And people complain about the funny thing. Here's the funny thing. People complain about Kevin Durant and say Kevin Durant's a diva. I'm like, Kevin Durant's a saint compared to this guy.
Right.
This guy's a huge headache, man. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how long he's going to play for the Warriors before he starts pissing and moaning and complaining that Steve Kerr is a bad coach, or he doesn't like it here, or I can't play with Draymond, or any of the above, right? I don't know. I'm just curious to see what he's going to be like. But if nothing else, he is a good talker. He's very entertaining, and he's a damn good basketball player. If he just didn't have the attitude, I think he'd be a lot more appreciated by people.
Right. I agree. And like, look, some people say, a change of scenery is good. I am praying to the basketball gods that this change of scenery for Jimmy Butler will do him well. We'll recharge him because he's been wanting to get out of Miami for the longest time now, and he's been insubordinate really for the last 2 months. They keep suspending him, and now he's no longer in their hair. He's no longer Miami's problem, and I'm hoping that playing with guys like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, guys who've won championships, that this guy will know his role and not act like a diva like he's been in the past. Because if he's truly cares about winning a championship and getting himself a ring, he'll fall in line and he'll not want to make it all about himself. So again, will we see that, Jimmy Butler? It remains to be seen, but I'm not going to put money on it. Let's put it this way. If I was a betting man, that's one bet I would not make.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they made this deal. As you know, Marco, I've been going on as a frequent guest with Cyrus Satsis, and he's got his Golden Days podcast.
Right.
What a name, by the way, Golden Days. I wonder what that Golden Days is all about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Days.
I'm just knocking you, Cyrus. I'm just giving you a bad time, man. Anyway, he asked me what my thoughts were about the Warriors making a deal. I thought they were going to make a deal after they played Utah, which is, as we're recording this podcast, they're playing Utah right now in the start of this huge long road trip that's going to extend beyond the All-Star break, if I read the schedule correctly.
Yes.
Anyway, I thought the Warriors would make some kind of mid-level move that's reminiscent of what the San Francisco Giants baseball team does.
Yeah.
So, and they kind of still did, in my opinion, because even though they got Jimmy Butler, which is the guy that's been the pink elephant in the room hanging over the Warriors' head for the last 3 weeks, they were going to get this guy. I don't know, man. Jimmy Butler, to me, he's old. It's like,
yeah,
old. It's like that scene in Happy Gilmore. Look at her, she's old. Old. Remember that scene? He's making fun of his grandma, right?
Yeah.
I feel that way about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, I mean, he's old.
Right. and he's been injury prone too. He hasn't played a full season in a few years now. So again, what kind of minutes is Steve Kerr going to give him? I'm pretty sure he's going to throw him right in the starting lineup. He's probably going to try to give him 30 like he does Steph. Will it be enough? I don't know. But this is, again, I'm just trying to process this whole thing because I really thought there was no way they were going to get him 2 days ago. This was dead in the water, and they were focusing all their attention on KD. But once I guess KD said, "Nope, not interested in a reunion with my pals, my good old buddy Draymond Green," that they said, "Okay, it's Jimmy Butler or bust." And that's this is what it is now. This is a bust. It's got to be at least a Western Conference final appearance, if not a championship, because and then you look at this 2 years extension. So they figure they're going to definitely keep him around for at least another 2 more years after this one. So it remains to be seen how much of a help he will be, and he will. He's gonna the double teams off Stephen Curry are practically over now. They can't double team him when you got Jimmy Butler on the floor because he'll make them pay. And because when he is healthy and he wants to play basketball, he's still a great talent out there, and he will help the Warriors in that sense. But again, the attitude is the big elephant in the room, as you mentioned. Will he be able to conduct himself in a professional manner with this team and get along with this team and his teammates and the coaching staff, more importantly? And it's going to be a really interesting 2 months. So here we thought the Warriors were just going to, like you said, maybe get some mid-level guy and not do too much, not pull off anything major. And now they just made these last 2.5 months of basketball entertaining to watch now for these until the playoffs start in April.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, again, when you're 35 years old, again, things have changed a lot. Michael Jordan, back when he was 35, was still doing a great job. I think he was in the last year of his second three-peat with the Bulls when he turned 35 years old.
Right.
But now you see a guy like LeBron James the other day. I think he just had a triple-double in the game where they played against the Knicks, and they brought his son Bronny in, and Bronny scored a couple points, and everybody went nuts in Madison Square Garden. Woohoo, And I mean, I will say again, LeBron is a specimen, obviously. He's done a great job. He's had a great career, but I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's not a champion like MJ was. Okay, so that's the bottom line. And as great of a player as he is, and as much longevity and stamina as he's had, but hey, the reason I bring up his name is, can Jimmy Butler do the same thing? Can he be that productive guy that he's been throughout his career and be the all-star that the Warriors hope he can be? Because, man, the Warriors sure as hell mortgaged the future, man. They went all in with the chips. So.
Well, and I would say the only good thing about this trade is that they did not give up a Jonathan Kuminga. They did not give up a Moses Moody. So what they gave up, again, I think was really smart on Mike Dunleavy Jr.'s part to get rid of the veterans that he knew he could swing to get Butler, and he did that. Again, who knows if this trade even happens, if DeAnthony Melton doesn't get hurt and for his season-ending ACL, which they end up trading for Schroeder later on. But you never know what can happen when you get a full 82-game season. But this is a shocker for sure, and I'm definitely going to be tuning into every Warriors game now to see what this guy does for them.
Yeah, and I'll close on this point. I mean, when the Warriors got Dennis Schroeder, and that was a cool name that he's got, but man, he played awful. This guy, his net rating was minus 15 to minus 20 every single game. He was routinely shooting like one of 5 or 2 of 7 or worse. His shooting was awful. He had just games where he was just jacking shots up left and right, not helping the Warriors, not looking good in the stat line. He just looked like he was lost all over the floor. And like you said, Steph Curry's, I think he's the only guy I can think of, the only superstar in the NBA who does not have a duo partner to help him out.
Right.
And the Warriors, like you said, nothing else. They finally got a guy where if you double him, you're leaving Jimmy Butler wide open. So again, hopefully Jimmy Butler, we can start making jokes about, hey, the Butler did it, So hopefully he lives up to that nickname. So time will tell. But
now across for Celebrini, but Armia got a piece of that. Wallman keeps it alive. Eklund on the wing. Celebrini scores! Macklin roofs it, and it's 1-0 Sharks.
So now let's see what happens with the Warriors, and let's move on now to the San Jose Sharks, who did their own big trade the other day when General Manager Mike Grier pulled the trigger and he traded away their top goal scorer, which was our point production guy, Mikael Granlund, and a top defenseman, Cody Ceci, to the Dallas Stars for Dallas's 2025 first-round selection and a conditional 2025 third-round selection. Now, Marco, you cover the Sharks more than I do, and only reason for that, of course, is I do as many games as possible, but gee, for some reason, the schedule makers always putting the Warriors and the Sharks at the same time, so that's not possible for me. So anyway, I make what games I can. Marco, your thoughts on the big trade?
I think as a Sharks fan, I think you got to see this coming. Look, there was 8 guys that could be potentially traded that before the March 7th deadline. Excuse me. And Granlund's name was up there. Cece's name was up there. And I think that Mike Grier decided, look, we know we're probably not going to be able to sign these guys past their deals that they have. Cece was just a 1-year deal. Granlund, when they traded for him in the EK 65 deal, I think he only had 2 years left on that. So now it's been the 2 years. And it's one of those things where you got to get something for nothing, or not end up with nothing, right? And for them to get a 2025 first-round pick, or for at least the first-round pick for this year's draft, that's huge. And again, those guys warranted that, I believe. Cody Ceci was one of the best defenders on the Sharks this whole season. He was very consistent with them. Mikael Granlund was the leading scorer in points and goals all the way up till he was traded. And you look at, they're going to miss some of that veteran leadership of those guys, especially when it comes to the young guys like Macklin Celebrini and the Will Smiths and the Colin Grafs, Colin Graf scored his first NHL goal last night on a beautiful, nice wrist shot that went top shelf. They're going to miss some of those guys, in the presence in the locker room. But look, I don't think Mike Grier's done. I think Cunnin is another guy we're probably going to see get shopped or at least get traded, either before or right at the deadline. I could see definitely one of the 2 goaltenders that they have left in Vitek Vanacek and Georgiev. I'm pretty sure one of those guys is gone. And I think they'll probably trade at Vanacek. I think he'll probably get the most between the 2 goaltenders, maybe a second, maybe a third, fourth round type of deal for him. Same thing with a guy like Cunnin. You could probably get a second or third round for him. And again, when you have this rebuild that Mike Grier's going on right now, it's again, you're going to get this draft capital back for these guys. You're not going to get another good player in return, but then you take that draft capital and either in free agency or when the draft comes, that's when you utilize it, right? And I think that's what Mike Grier's going to do. The one thing that the NHL did this week was they announced that the next 3 years, the salary cap is going to go up big time. Right now it's at $88 million. And in 3 years from now, it's going to be at $113 million. So think about that. That's a big jump in money from in a 3-year standpoint, going from 88 to 113, which means in that 3 years time, you're going to have Celebrini and Smith and Graf and Gushchin and what have you, Podorowski, who just got promoted from the Barracuda. Those guys are going to be in their prime, hopefully at that point. And now you're going to have enough cap space when that time comes to get a good veteran scorer or a good veteran defenseman, because obviously a goaltender, they're going to be set with Yaroslav Askarov as their main guy. And I think, that's why Mike Grier did the trades with the goalies that he did, and ones that he got last year with Vanacek and this year with Georgiev. One of those guys is going to definitely go because Askarov will be the number 1 goaltender after this trade deadline and for years ahead. And this is just, again, it's also, again, like as I mentioned about the salary cap, this also cuts salary off the roster, gives them more room now. So two things happen: you get draft capital, and you cut salary to where you improve your team really twice. And so I like that they did this move. Mikhail Granlund is a nice guy, good player. Same thing with Cody Ceci, and whenever we interviewed him after games, they were always very professional and very cool to media. So, and then of course, those guys who play with them throughout these first 55 games, they're going to miss them. But as they say, Macklin said it yesterday, this is the business side of things, and you just have to accept it and move on. And we know the Sharks aren't going to be a playoff team this year, so you got to get what you can get for these guys that aren't going to be a part of the future.
Right. And I did ask that to Mike Greer. We have that, by the way, on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Where I put the entire presser on there. And so I asked Greer if the Sharks record had anything to do with it. He said it didn't, but let's be honest. Come on. I mean, the Sharks are in a total rebuild mode. And being in last place where they are, even though they've been showing a lot of promise, they're still last in the standings, and they've also given up, I think, the most goals. You put those two together, the Sharks are obviously, it's a recipe for a rebuild, but they're still showing some flashes of brilliance. I mean, we saw a very entertaining game against the Montreal Canadiens. Great goal by Macklin Celebrini. That was a power play goal too, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was a great goal. Everybody touched the puck. That's exactly what you see when you talk about hockey assists. Colin Graf scoring his first goal. Just an exciting game, but unfortunately the Sharks fell short once again. So obviously this team is continually, looking to the future and trying to find ways to get better. And we're seeing that in this team, but it's still going to be a long year. Hopefully they continue to have games like this where they're going to play competitive the rest of the season. That's all you can hope for.
Yeah, definitely. Look, they're in the growing pains part of this rebuild. And it's going to continue this year. You have to learn how to lose in order to learn how to win. And that's what they're doing right now. And look, I'm going to be excited when I see some more of the Barracuda kids come up. They already got Shakira Mukhamadullin back up. Jack Thompson, who they traded for last year. He's playing a lot better now. I thought he played one of the best games of the season, last night against the Canadiens. And, you talk about Celebrini, not only did he score a power play goal, but he set up Tyler Toffoli on a nice breakaway that Tyler Toffoli went in, made a nice backhand move, and scores his goal. And this kid is really, he's really showing why he's deserving a number one pick. And, I asked him, that was the first question to him. I said, is this game starting to slow down for you? Because it seems like it is. It seems like he just knows where everyone and everything is at. He knows what move to make, where to stick down, where to pass it, when to shoot it. He was robbed with about under 6 minutes left, and he had a point blank chance that
couldn't get a stick up high enough. But
it was a great save. Let's not take away from the great save that Montalban did last night on that, but still, for his presence to be right down there and almost get a game-winning goal at that point because they were still tied. Just goes to show you, at 18 years old, he's already playing like a veteran of about 5-6 years.
Yeah. And I'd say even more than that. I would say he's playing like a guy who's 28 years old. No question.
Yeah.
He's playing like a 10-year veteran in the NHL from what I can see.
Yeah. And he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better.
And the presence I see from him, as you know, Marco, every home game I get a chance to, I go down and shoot pregame of the players skating on the ice, and the fan support that he gets is amazing. It's so cool to watch. Not only him, and of course, real Sharks fans know that, Will Smith is there too. And it's so funny because now he's been at 2 Warriors games, I think, right, where they show him and they show Thornton, and Will Smith is ignored. It's like, hey, who goes to the Warrior game? It's Joe Thornton and Macklin Celebrini. And here's Will Smith just hanging out, whatever. Who am I? Whatever.
Smith's time's going to come. He's going to start getting those goals to go his way. It's only a matter of time with him. I'm not worried about Will Smith, and he's been playing really good hockey of late as well. So the future is teal, and the future to me is bright with this team. We just got to go through another year or two of growing pains with them, and until they're back to being a playoff contender. So again, there's a lot to look forward to with the Sharks.
All right. On that note, we will wrap it up this episode of Bay Area Sports Wrap. And for Marco Kolovich, I'm Ryan Leong, and this has been Bay Area Sports Wrap.
All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Bay Area Sports Wrap. Let's go. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.